was an old man and a boy and a donkey, and they were going to town. It was decided that the boy should ride on the donkey, and as they went along, they passed by some people, and the people exclaimed, "Oh, what a shame for that little boy to ride on the donkey and the old man to have to walk." So the man and the boy, they decided that maybe the critics were right, and so they changed positions. And they, a little while later, passed some more people who exclaimed that it was a real shame for that man to make such a little boy walk. The two decided that maybe they should both walk. And soon they passed some more people and they said, "Oh, what a shame. It seems stupid for them both to walk and no one to ride on the donkey." So the man and the boy decided that maybe they were right, and they decided they both should ride on the donkey. Well, they soon met some other people and said that it was such a shame to put such a load on the donkey with both of them riding that poor little animal. So the old man and the boy, they decided that maybe those critics were right, and they decided to get off the donkey and carry the donkey. And as they crossed the bridge, they lost their grip and the donkey fell into the river and drowned. So the moral of the story is, if you try and please everybody, you're likely to lose your donkey. You know, letting go of what people think and caring about what people think is one of the most daunting challenges to embracing who we truly are. We all experience moments when we act or we speak in an inauthentic way. We want others to like us. We want them to think that we're intelligent. So we present a false persona. Or we do it because we feel unsafe, or we want something so badly that we're willing to say or do anything in order to possess it. It can be truly painful when this happens. Worse still is when we're inauthentic with ourselves, because then we're unable to even acknowledge or admit that there's something difficult going on in our lives. Struggle, questioning, doubt, inquiry, investigation are all parts of the true path to authenticity. Being willing to be vulnerable, being willing to endure the inevitable criticism that comes when we don't fit in, when we don't show up the way people expect or want us to, takes courage. Jesus not only understood this, he taught it, he demonstrated it. In the book, The Passionate Jesus by Reverend Peter Wallace, he writes this. He said, "Jesus deeply values living without deceit, without falsehood, and without timidity. He himself demonstrated living in a way that was utterly transparent, emotionally clean, direct, and straightforward. And the invitation is for us to follow that same path." Jesus is not so much interested that we become nice, well-adjusted, polite people, but rather that we thrive as individuals in healthy, compassionate, transparent ways, that we are able to recognize the good, the bad, and the ugly, if you want to think of it that way, that enables us to be able to forgive and to love what truly is. Many of his teaching stories were about showing up authentically. The worst criticism that he gave was to those who were not being authentic. In Matthew 6, he says, "Be especially careful when you're trying to be good so that you don't make a performance of it. It might be good theater, but the God who made you won't be applauding. He goes on to say this, he said, and I'm reading from the Message Bible, so it's a little bit more updated vernacular. It says, when you do something for someone else, don't call attention to yourself. You've seen them in action, I'm sure. Play actors, I call them, treating a prayer meeting and a street corner like a stage. Acting compassionate as long as there are people watching, playing to the crowds. They get applause, true, but that's all they get. When you help someone out, don't think about how good it's going to look. Just do it, quietly and unobtrusively. That is the way to your God, who conceived you in love, working behind the scenes, always helping you out. So here's what I want you to do, he goes on to say. Find a quiet, secluded place so that you won't be tempted to role play before God. Just be there, as simply and honestly as you can manage. The focus will shift from you to God, and you will begin to sense His grace. Not only does a practice of authenticity open us up to the richness of our spiritual relationship with God, but it also empowers us to live as meaningful and lovingly as we possibly can. Authenticity is discovered, as our author Brene Brown offers us, through courage, connection, and compassion. Mindfully practicing authenticity, especially during our own soul-searching, painful struggles, is done through this practice of courage and compassion and connection. Courage means that we recognize that shame loves secrecy. It can't survive being shared. It can't survive when it's brought into the light. So courage is to speak one's mind from the heart. And brave is sometimes our ability to say, I don't know. Compassion in Latin means to suffer with. Default responses to another's suffering, protecting ourselves, blaming someone for it, shuts us down. It's the shame and the blame that we hoist upon ourselves or upon others that keeps us in those dark places. We begin, if we stay in that mode, to judge and to question our own behaviors. It separates people. And part of the work of compassion is our ability to see the person separate from their behaviors. And it's not easy to do. But it's a practice that brings us to that place of authenticity. It's a practice that allows us to relax and to be more willing to look at what scares us. And finally, connection is that energy that exists between people when they feel seen, when they feel heard, when they feel valued, when they can give and receive without that sense of judgment happening between them, and when they derive sustenance and strength from that shared connection. So our opportunity as we move into this series that is based on the book by Brene Brown called The Gifts of Imperfection is to open ourselves with a sense and a willingness to be courageous, to be compassionate, and to have the capacity to feel that sense of connection beyond whatever we might be saying or doing with the people around us. So as we move into a time of meditation, I'm going to invite you, as we bring our attention inward, bring it to our heart space, to enter this time with a desire to be very courageous, to be compassionate, and to feel and sense that connection. So as you close your eyes or focus on some point in the room, if that's more comfortable, I just invite you to take a deep breath and just let that breath go. And that next breath in, acknowledge in the very breath that we breathe, God's compassion is what you're breathing into your being. And as you let that breath go, you let go, at least for this moment, of any judgment about what this time or this experience might look like or feel like. Fill your mind and your heart with the courage to authentically be with whatever is happening in your life right now. Whatever challenge might be unfolding, take it into your heart and surround it and any players that are a part of it in compassion. And see in this sacred space if you can notice any interconnectedness you have with whatever's happening. See if you can recognize that the same fear, the same shame that another might be experiencing also lives within you. And feel a sense of compassion for both of you. See if you can see the same struggles and the same call for courage that might be beckoning to you is also beckoning to those who are part of this journey around you. Just take a moment and allow the open eyes of your heart to see yourself, to see the situation through the loving, through the forgiving eyes of God. And know that now this has come into the light of your being. It can be transformed, for that is the power of God's light and God's love. And just be willing, have the courage to let it unfold in whatever way is highest and best. Trust that as you are willing, all things are possible. Take another deep breath in and just let it all go now, for it is done. And as you begin to bring your attention back to this time and this space, aware again of the sounds in the room, of your body and it being supported in this moment. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. You know, in my initial spiritual searching, and especially once I had found unity and its principles and these practices that brought me into such a lighter place to live from, I was excited because I thought that finally I had found the key to alleviate all my pain and challenges. I truly did. Took the 4T class, went, okay, I'm good now. Prosperity is mine. And after many years, I've come to realize that there will always be pain in the human experience. Sorry if I'm breaking that news to you in a new way, but that is part of this journey. It's part of our walk. Jesus, even fully realized as the Christ, still experienced pain. So this spiritual journey is not how do I get rid of pain and challenges. It's about allowing that pain to flow through us like a mountain stream, rather than getting stuck in us like a stagnant pool. It will come, but pain only lasts for so long unless we hold on to it, unless we relive it, unless we embrace it like a long-lost friend and carry it around with us. The integral part in this practice is cultivating this sense of being authentically okay with what's going on, and for allowing us to live, especially for ourselves, in a sense of self-compassion when that part of our life is not going the way we'd like it to. A number of years ago, the Association for Global New Thought, and we're part of the New Thought movement, hosted a conference with the Dalai Lama in India. And the meeting, the gathering, focused on a dialogue about what they believed were the 5 most important questions to be considered for humankind. So each of this panel was asked, what are your 5 top things that we should be looking at, that we should be questioning, that we should be focused on? And when they asked the Dalai Lama, this is what he said. He said, the 5 most important questions are, how do we address the widening gap between the rich and the poor? His second question was, how do we protect the earth? How do we educate our children? How do we help Tibet and other oppressed countries and people? And finally, he says, how do we bring spirituality? How do we bring deep caring and compassion for each other through all of these questions, through all of these challenges that we face in humanity? And then he said, all of the questions fall under the last one. We can be focused on all these things, but unless we're willing to address them all with deep caring and compassion for each other, we really won't find the solutions we're looking for. If we have true compassion, then our children will be well educated. We will care for the earth as well as those who are oppressed and those who have not. He asked the group, the Dalai Lama, do you think loving on the planet is increasing or staying the same? And his own response was, my experience leads me to believe that love is increasing. And he shared a practice with the group that will increase that energy of love and compassion in our world, and asked everyone attending to go home and share it with as many people as possible. So I'm going to leave you with this practice as I wrap up today. So the practices are this. And if you don't remember them and you really want to work with these, just let me know and we can send them to you, or go to our Adult Sunday School next Sunday and they will be exploring them a little bit more. So the practice are this. He says, spend 5 minutes at the beginning of each day remembering we all want the same thing and we're all connected. 5 minutes every morning, just remembering, no matter what anybody's doing or saying or how awful it might be, every person wants the same thing, and we are all interconnected with one another. And then he says, spend 5 minutes cherishing yourself and others, letting go of judgment. So 5 minutes remembering we all want the same thing, 5 minutes cherishing, especially when you're first starting out. It's good to work with yourself first and let go of the judgments first. And then he says, breathe in, cherishing yourself, and breathe out, cherishing others. So in this 5 minutes, loving yourself, loving others. If the faces of the people that you're having difficulty appear, then cherish them as well. He goes on to say that during the day, extend that attitude to everyone you meet, at least as much as possible. This is a practice. You're not going to do it perfectly, but as often as you can, everyone we meet, remind yourself we're all the same. We all want the same thing. I cherish myself and I cherish you. Do it with the grocery store clerk. Do it with the people that you work with. Do it with your family. Do it with anybody that you happen to encounter in that day. And here's number 5. Stay in the practice no matter what happens. Seems pretty simple, but if we all did this, I guarantee you it would transform our world. And so that's our invitation this week. As we strive to show up authentically, as we practice that sense of self-compassion and then extend it out to others, knowing that they're in the same struggle as we are, and to know that wherever we are in this struggle, we are enough. Well, it is our opportunity now to share of our financial good with Center of Unity, and we're so grateful for the many channels in which we receive our blessings and know that there's always enough because we are enough. And we're grateful for not only what we receive on Sunday, but for those who give through our committed giving program, as well as those who give online or through our website. So all of our channels are welcome to receive our good. In just a moment here, the ushers are going to invite you to come up row by row to place your gift in the larger basket and then receive an affirmation. And these are our series of the Gift of Imperfection affirmations, so you'll get one to bless you for this week. So let us take what we offer today into our hands and into our hearts and join and bless them together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Father, Mother God.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, family all are we. Let me walk with my family
as we go out into this week with courage, with compassion, with a willingness to be authentic, we go, knowing our prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you so much.